But I think the more people can step up and be experts in those fields and pursue them, even though it's going to be harder because you don't have the mentorship, you can be the mentor for somebody in 10 years. And that is like the most invaluable thing you can do.
This Organized Chaos video is brought to you by Gems Art Studio. Gems Art Studio is an online store that allows access to prints that you can use for most anything, obviously as just a picture, or as a wallpaper, or as a bookmark, or anything you can think of. You can find Gems Art Studio at etsy.com/shop/Gems Art Studio. This video is also brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you.
About Felicia Day, you know that she's done everything. I think if you are a nerd at all, she is your perfect person because she has done it all, whether it's board games, movies, comics, the gambit, music. She's done it all. So I want you guys to give a big hand for Felicia Day! Yes, the whole time I have to practice.
It's a real, this is very attractive, right? It's kind of like a hooking position kind of thing. Giving birth to a baby or whatever can fall out of there. Okay, hi! Hey everybody! Thank you so much for turning out. This has been a wonderful weekend. I want to thank you. If I've met you downstairs, thank you for coming by. And if I haven't, maybe I'll see you. But if not, thank you for being here in this room. It is almost Saturday night. Anybody get some sauerkraut balls after this? I had so many of them last night. They don't wear well. So I think I was alone in bed.
Sauerkraut balls sound gross. I've never eaten that.
You never eat them? That's a traditional Oktoberfest delight.
I'm good. I was telling Felicia that she should try Skyline though, right?
I'm going to Postmate some Skyline tomorrow for lunch because I gotta get some of that going on, right? Is that douchey? I mean, I can't go. I'm here all day. Like, I need them Skylines.
Although there is some Gold Star people here, I'm guessing.
Wait.
There's a fight. There's a Gold Star versus Skyline fight.
Wait, there's a fight between Chili's?
Yes.
Who wins?
I don't know. Actually, if you get into Cincinnati, there's like neighborhood Chili's. It's weird. It's weird. And don't ask anyone where they went to school because they don't mean college. They only mean high school. It's a weird thing. So the way it's going to work, we're just going to chat for a second, and then we're going to open up for questions for you guys, because I'm sure you guys have lots of questions, because, like I said, you have done everything.
You were reading things on my resume. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot I did that show.
They will not forget.
Adventure Time. I forgot that I was on Adventure Time, y'all. I did. I honestly did. I was like, wait, was I on that show? And then I realized I did like 9 or 10 episodes, but I don't know.
Well, most of the people that have been here this weekend have been awesome, but they've like kind of known for 1 or 2 things. But with you the whole time, like, I just want to be like Chris Farley, like, never on you to that. Oh, let's go. Never to that. Are you like the poster child for homeschoolers? Because you're like the coolest homeschooler in the world, right?
I mean, who else was I can't think of any other cool. I met a couple of who's homeschooled here? I know. See? There's some cool people.
I think you're cool.
Right here.
You're not safe. They're not. That's the makes you cool.
I mean, we're cool and being not cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, who's the coolest homeschooler you met then, outside of yourself? Like in that world.
Oh boy, I met a couple. Like I met geneticists. Like for some reason, the homeschoolers are like always like the nerdiest. Like they are the most obscure cryptography, working for the NSA, or like studying like gorilla habitats in Rwanda. Like they are like hardcore cool people. Like I'm always like, tell me more about your job. So I think that homeschooling, there's a lot of things like social awkwardness that I took 20 years of therapy to overcome. But there's also like, you get into something and you get good at it because you got nothing else to do all day.
That's my understanding is your homeschooling was not just, hey, mom's got a lesson for us. It was like straight life school, right?
Straight life school? What does that mean? Like I was on the streets?
Yeah, like you're foraging for food? No, years old, like doing bills and doing things for home and.
I mean, my mom was very lackadaisical. It was basically like being raised like a wolf a little bit, but I learned how to cook some.
That's the street way, man.
Yeah, I learned how to cook tuna noodles, casserole. Very good. It's tuna noodle casserole. I ate Doritos as a primary lunch for many years. I would just read books all day and watch Lost in Space and Star Trek: The Next Generation and Mystery Science Theater 3000. I watched a lot of TV. I read a lot of books, and I played a lot of video games. And I also did other things. But like when you have the whole day, y'all, you gotta fill your hours. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking to you guys who told me I binged Supernatural in 3 months. I'm like, did you sleep? That's like 330 hours, y'all. Don't do that in a month. I don't think there's that many hours in a month. I can have. But I'm not gonna do it now. Anyway, yeah.
I have 2 questions for you that are not related to your personal life, just nerdy questions.
Okay.
One's from me,
Okay.
and one is from an audience member who's like, you've gotta ask this question. But the one from me is because I'm a big Buffy fan. It's like my favorite thing in the world, is if you got to actually be a Slayer.
Okay, it's Vi.
Is it Vi?
It's Vi.
Oh, I don't remember.
Actually, you know what? I will give you a little, when it was written, I believe it was V. But then everybody called it
I
Vi.
can't say I knew that.
So when Joss wrote it, it was supposed to be V because it was supposed to be 6. It was like some inside thing he had for the character, but then he wasn't on set when I actually was acting, and then the other people called her Vi, so then my name morphed into a Vi. That's actually a true story.
So I knew that story myself.
Yeah, you knew that right there. Yeah, so you're loyal to the original. Okay.
So, do you think you would have made a great Slayer? Just you being that character, that you would have been like, yeah, this would have been a show that's keeping going.
Yeah. Well, yes, I'm in the canon of the comic
Comics,
books.
right?
I am the head of the New York Slayers. So basically, I train the younger Slayers coming up because every girl got to become a Slayer basically at the end of
Right,
spoiler alert.
yeah.
Are you gonna be upset at me for spoiling Buffy? That was really
No. I was on season 6 right now.
But yeah, so at the end, so then all the girls in the world became Slayers, and then people trained them. So I was the head of the New York one, which was the center of Slayerdom.
Do you get any like say in what they do in the comics?
No, are you kidding?
Do they draw her at least like you? I never read it.
He was a little funky looking.
No.
I mean, I had the flip hair. People ask me, why don't you have a Buffy picture here? Because I have pictures from all the projects I do downstairs. And I have like so many pictures, but I don't have a Buffy one. And people are like, why don't you have a Buffy picture? I'm like, because my hair was stupid.
So any of you fan artists, if you want to draw some cool Buffy ones.
I got
with
those
not
early
stupid hair.
knots, like thick highlights, you know, like the thick blonde on red. Why would I have blonde highlights with red hair? Like, what was that choice? They're not Fergie. And then it had a flip outward, like I'm like I was a French girl. And then they put that stupid hat on me for like 4 episodes, and I was convinced that when they took that hat off, there'd be a demon head under there. Because I thought that's how they were gonna kill me off. Didn't happen. But yeah, I didn't like the look of my character. It was not my favorite look. Yeah, it was not 90s. That's way too old.
What?
It was
90s, wasn't it?
No, well, I guess Buffy started in the late 90s, but I was not on until the last year, which was either 2004 or 2005.
Well, judging by Xander's outfits, definitely the puffy shirts on top.
Okay, the fashion was reprehensible, but I think it's coming back, right? 90s are back right now, right? Midriff tops, like, you know, juicy couture pants, like with the sparkle on the butt. I remember seeing Sarah Michelle on set, and she was wearing Uggs, and I was like, oh my god, what a cool fashion. And it was July in Los Angeles. She's wearing mukluks, and I'm like, what is that fashion? But then everybody in Hollywood was wearing them and having stinky feet. Like it was like stinky foot. Like your feet are sweating into lamb's wool. Yeah, I don't know.
But it's Sarah Michelle, I'm sure she wore it.
She could do it, and also she doesn't sweat. Actors that fancy don't sweat, you know. They hire other people to sweat for them.
Alright, so my fan question is, and I have to read it because I don't watch Supernatural. It's like I have 2 nerd blogs, and one's Supernatural and one is Dr.
I don't think anybody here is a Supernatural fan, huh?
I want to watch it, but I know it's so many episodes and I can't.
Okay. Why don't you just watch it? Don't watch it in a month.
What if someone told me just watch the first 10 seasons or something?
First 10?
Is that bad? Is that bad advice?
Well, yes, because the end of the 10th season, something happens that's really not great.
Okay.
And it's
But what
trash
might have
after
to do
that.
with this question if it has to do with you? So hold on. Supernatural. Which character did you enjoy playing more? The original Charlie or the other world Charlie?
That's a really good question. I got to play 2 different versions of Charlie. One of them was from an apocalypse world where society broke down, there were wars, there wasn't any more electricity, all of that. And so I came through a portal with a bunch of other, it makes sense, you guys. I came through a portal and I got to be like a different version of the character. So it's like a parallel timeline kind of thing, like a fringy thing, without the detail, the world building that we got, because they didn't really emphasize it. They just brought some really cool characters back. You know, I mean, the OG Charlie will always hold, like, I mean, she's just so wonderful. Like, she's me, but also more badass and more brave and just such a friend to the guys. The Apocalypse Charlie was really fun to play because I really had to imagine, like, well, yeah, if we went back 5 years and I was under different circumstances, lived somewhere different, and was under, like, in a war, I would act like a different person. I would be a different version of myself. We all would, right? Like, our circumstances define who we are. And so I kind of had a fun time deconstructing that to be a lot more grounded, less humorous because a lot of bad crap happened to me. And so it was a real fun challenge, but at the end of the day, I really liked OG Charlie because I never got the chance or the episode to really become part of the Sam and Dean world again with Apocalypse Charlie. I kind of always wanted that scene with Dean where we became friends again, because really it was Dean and Charlie's friendship that I think centered her in this place where she belonged. She belonged with that family, and she found the family, and they needed her, and she needed them, and it was this great found family that they formed. And yeah, and we never got to see OG Charlie again, and I think that's really, it's sad.
Are you guys happy with that answer? You like that answer?
Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't sound bad. Now I feel like I should watch it and be like, is this why?
Yes.
You have to watch all 15 episodes.
I need to watch.
Seasons.
Oh, okay. I will. I promise.
I'll see you in 25 years.
There you go. I'll watch it. All right. So enough of me. Let's let you guys ask your questions. Please, someone ask about Dr. Horrible just a question, because that's my favorite thing. So we're gonna go left and then right, and then left and then right until we don't have that anymore. But go ahead, sir.
Hey, good to see you again.
My question is like, so Dragon Age it's taking place in Felicia, and almost everybody agreeing and saying it's going to be fighting between Solus and elves and the Qunari. Do you think you as Talis, are we going to see her in Dragon Age 4? Do you think she's still with the Qunari, or do you think she's a spy for Solus and the elves?
I love your questions. I wish I could say I was in Dragon Age 4. I actually was asked several years ago by one of the devs if I would be willing to come back, and I was like, yes. But unfortunately, that person left the company, as did most of the people I worked with at BioWare many years ago with Dragon Age 2. So it's a whole new crew, and unfortunately, they didn't ask me back. I would love to be a part of Dragon Age again, especially if it's Qunari versus the elf. Like, that's Talis feels like she would be an amazing, like, she could be either side. She could be that Qunari spy, or she could be infiltrated into Solus's elves. Like, it would be amazing. She's an elf who works for the Qunari, which are kind of alien-looking creatures in a fantasy world. It's the best ever. If you've never played Dragon Age, definitely pick it up. So I would say that I would love, love, love to be a part of it. Unfortunately, they didn't ask me, and I really don't like Solus to be, I mean, as a character, he's a really complicated character, and I'm looking forward to maybe crushing him in his rebellion, but the cool thing about Dragon Age is it'll make you think differently, at least in the previous ones. It makes you think differently than what you would have thought of when you first enter a scenario. So I might end up like, oh my god, I'm totally back in Solus and Elves now. So yeah, it's kind of sad because I loved doing that part. I'm in the DLC for Dragon Age 2, and I wrote a web series, and actually I created Talis as a character, and they took her into the game, and it was like a dream come true. And so, yeah, I can only just cross my fingers and say like, oh, maybe a DLC might come up, but I don't really know anybody in there anymore, and so, yeah, why don't you send the tweet, okay? Thank you.
Hi, my favorite episode of Tabletop of all time is when you crush Will Wheaton's soul during Resistance.
The Resistance, yeah, that was a good one.
My question is, what's the best lie you've ever told?
Ooh, the best lie that I've ever told?
This is a good question.
I love going to parties. I love weddings.
I love Comic Cons.
No, I actually do love Comic Con. I do. This is where I went to Dragon Con a couple weeks ago, and Dragon Con is the only, I was thinking, like, when I got there, you know, I have a 4-year-old, so she can't be vaccinated, so I'm extra careful about going out and wearing my mask, and I want to thank all of you guys for being masked and being so vigilant and protecting people who maybe have young children or compromised immune systems or elderly around them. It's all of us together helping everyone stay safe, and I want to thank you for all of that. I went to Dragon Con. I was like, oh damn, this is going to be the first Dragon Con where I don't stay up until 4 a.m. drinking, walking around, taking pictures of cosplay, and just living it up. And I'm like, oh, you've actually never had partied outside of Comic Con. I haven't. The times that I've got, stayed out all night, like that's only been at either San Diego Comic Con or Dragon Con or New York City Comic Con, or I can name the number of awesome parties I've been to and awesome times I've had with all my friends, but they're always at a Comic Con, and so not being able to do that at Dragon Con was a little bit of a bummer.
That is going to be very unique. My only party is with all the comic people, man. It's cool.
I know, it's like, if I'm not partying with a furry or a Loki, it's probably not a party for me.
All right, Flash.
If you could be any character from any movie or TV show, who would it be?
Oh, maybe like in real life? Oh. Well, that's a really, I would want to be, wow, would I have the responsibility of like saving the world? Because being a superhero would be cool, but then the job of superhero would be lame. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd love to have the power to like go through walls and read minds and all that stuff, but I wouldn't want to do the work that superheroes have to do.
Be a villain.
Right. I just want, oh, a villain. Oh my god, it's really bad. Being like Rogue from X-Men would be great, but I don't want to be dealing with all that interpersonal, stuff. It just seems like a lot, but I could use those powers to like, just hang out.
Let's just assume you have the power, but you don't have any responsibility.
Oh, okay. Power but no responsibility. I mean, oh boy.
I think that was a little bit advice to Spider-Man. Hey, all power knows.
Yeah, but what Spider-Man power is going to get you if you're not working as Spider-Man, right? Like, what would you think? Like, because even super strength, what is that going to get me if I'm not working as Superman? I need something that's going to make money and allow me to play video games all day, right? What are you saying? What would be the best? I mean, you don't have any responsibility, right? What's the use to being a Spider-Man if you don't need to? You don't necessarily need to climb walls.
Spider-Man, he can do you like
See?
construction work?
Without a bad guy, there's no use for superhero. Okay, right there.
I know how you would love so many years, Micah, talk to machines.
Oh, you can talk to machines.
Yes, they can money
Okay, that's it. Wait, who is it? Who's
Michael from Heroes.
Michael from Heroes? Oh,
Heroes.
yes. Okay.
Heroes.
All right, that's a good one. You can talk to
I remember
machines.
the character very well.
That's it. You're like you can go to Silicon Valley. You can do a little startup thing, become a little Bill Gatesy kind of situation. Bezos it out. I don't know.
The answer is personal gain.
Well, no. I would love. Okay, if I could have all the I would try to save the rainforest. So that would be like some superpowers would be good for that, right? Yeah, that's a good one.
What would you do, like a giant canopy over it or something?
Well, that's what I'm
Save it,
saying.
save
What could
it.
I do there? Like, because they cut all the rainforest down to to raise more cattle, right?
Right.
So we'd have to reduce. Let's solve the world problems here, dear. We'd have to reduce the consumption of beef. Or if they cut the rainforest down, I can either reverse time and undo it, or just grow plants instantly. So maybe poison ivy? Yeah.
Oh, Captain
Captain Planet! This is awful! Why would we ever reach that conclusion? Oh my god, you ruined it all! You know, I'm gonna have to think about this now because I think you guys gotta tweet me your solutions because honestly, like, even Wonder Woman wouldn't be that cool. Like, what are you gonna, you can fly around, like, for free. You can get braces?
Bracelets. It's kind of cool.
What are you gonna do with those bracelets? You're just popping them on? You're gonna wear the same bracelets every day? That doesn't sound fun. Why would you have one outfit?
What about teleportation?
Teleportation would be number one. No commuting. Thank you.
We're going to be stuck here a lot. Let's go to the next question.
This is a good question. This would be a whole
Controversy noted.
It's not controversy. It's just a thought experiment, okay?
Maybe just take the villain thing. I'll just be bad guys.
Okay. Hi.
Hi. Fortunately, I got to see you yesterday. But unfortunately, I kind of fangirled so hard that I froze and I didn't get to ask you anything.
Okay. Well, I'm here for you now.
I'm sure you've been asked this before, so sorry if you're repeating yourself. But I was really curious. I know how, like, on the Supernatural set, I know like the pranks are just absurd. Were you ever a target? Like, what was it like on set?
No. I will say that Jared and Jensen were one of the most, they were so respectful. They're from Texas, and they're kind of like very formal with, especially very respectful to women, you know? So I never actually saw them prank me until the episode before, I was in episode 10, I met Castiel, Charlie, and she said, "Are we best friends?" It was such a nice moment that I was so excited to have more scenes with him, but I never did. But no, I didn't do it for pity. But you can pity me. It's fine. But in that scene where he was in, it was the only scene I had in him, and the whole scene, Jared was giving him a wedgie in his close-up. So he's trying to act, and he's going like this. I'm like, what is he doing? And then at another point, he got a wet willy while he's like off camera on me, and I'm like, why are you giving him a wet willy? What is going on here? And I was like, I asked Amisha, I was like, how do you put up with this? He's like, no. So I have seen them play. They pranked Jack, the character Jack, a lot. He was definitely the butt of a lot of funny jokes, and yeah, it was fun. It was all in good fun. It was not like bullying or anything. It was just like teasing and having fun, and it was such a lighthearted revelry on set all the time. It is because of Jared and Jensen. They really set the tone of this of behavior. Really, just everybody. There's no failing. Everybody's here. It's family, and you're gonna be loved no matter what. And I just love that part of being on the set. So thanks for that. Hello.
So, you took a trip on a good island and you allow one book, one luxury, and one record. What do you pick?
One book, one what?
Luxury.
Luxury.
And one record.
And what's the last one?
Record.
You know, vinyl.
A record, like a song?
Yeah.
Oh, a vinyl. I was like,
And you
a
just
vinyl.
did the record.
Okay, book, luxury, and a vinyl. Okay, book. Oh boy. Okay, a vinyl would be Erasure. Like any Erasure greatest hits, because I love Erasure, or ABBA, because those are my two favorites. I know they're dorky, but they just make me dance, so whatever. Suck it. My luxury would be, oh gosh, I wish I could be, I guess, a Learjet. So I mean, I know, if I get the teleportation going on, so then the book, gosh, what book would I want to read over and over again? That's the really tricky part, because you would want, it would be like the world's greatest novels, like a whole, like a Kindle of, I'm cheating, aren't I? I have to actually give you an answer.
Say your autobiography.
It's my autograph. It would be my, Embrace Your Weird, my creativity book, because I can do the exercises over and over again. So that's not it. I mean, I guess Lord of the Rings. I would bring Lord of the Rings. Because honestly, I've never really read it very carefully. I've kind of skimmed it 8 times. You know, I like to speed read, and so I would really be like, let's take in the language, Felicia. And that's what I would really like. Luxury, I guess I need some face cream because I don't want to be getting wrinkles on that island. Or the Learjet thing. Okay, thank you. I'm really indecisive today. Hi.
Hi. So I know of you as Lyra on Critical Role.
Yeah, a lot of Critical Role fans here this weekend.
What's your favorite D&D class to play?
My favorite D&D class to play, I always play a wizard or a sorcerer. I've played a lot of other classes. In the last year or so, I've done a lot of like guest shots because it's COVID. I'm bored. I miss people. But I have to say, I always go back to being usually a wizard because I like to have high intelligence and low charisma versus high charisma and low intelligence. Although high charisma and low intelligence does give you a lot of good role play opportunities.
I have a feeling with high intelligence, low charisma. I play wizard also.
You play wizard also? Yeah. My favorite thing in D&D is knowing all the languages. There's nothing that pisses me off more than getting into a counter and it's like, does anybody know how to speak Abyssal or, you know, like, Draconic? And I'm like, I know 7 languages, yes. So I'm basically a Ravenclaw wizard whenever I play.
Can you give us an example of Abyssal, please?
Example of a what?
Of Abyssal, whatever that language is. Thank you.
A little Scrooge McDuck.
Thank you.
Yeah, Scrooge McDuck.
Did you guys plan coming up at the same time with the same shirt?
What? Oh my God.
Do you know this shirt? I didn't know it earlier. Do you know what that is?
No, I'm blanking right now. Steven Universe, of course. I'm so sorry. My daughter and I have been reading all the comics. She loves Steven Universe so much. I've never actually seen, I auditioned for the show, you guys, and I didn't get a part. And it's okay, that just happens. It was one of the gems, the new gems in the movie. She's like from the 1940s or something.
Oh, that's Fennell.
Yes, I auditioned for that. I auditioned 3 times, so clearly they liked me, but they picked somebody else. It's okay, that's just what happens. But I loved it so much, and I was so sad I didn't watch the show. But I've been reading all the comics with my kid, and she's obsessed with Amethyst. Because she's that kid, you know? She's going to be a pain in my butt my whole life. Anyway, nice to see you.
No, so yeah, Steven.
Oh yeah, sorry,
Steven Universe
I can't help
left.
it. Okay,
Get
left and
Yeah.
Steven Universe. Thank you for Mystery Science Theater question. I just finished writing on an episode last week. So, coming out, you guys, next year. It's pretty exciting. We're going to be filming before the end of the year, which is really, really exciting. And it's been a while. Thank you for anybody who contributed to the Kickstarter. Netflix decided not to pick it up. Thank you. But that's okay. Yeah, it is their loss. It is. So basically, we're going to be doing another season, and it's like going to be so fun because they're rotating hosts, and they have all these new people who are guest starring, and I wrote on a movie that was literal torture. So everybody in the writing room was like, "Oh wow, we're living the show. This is the worst movie we've ever seen. It's so painful." And it's really funny. I can't tell you the movie or I'll get fired, but it's probably the worst thing I've ever seen. And it's like, sometimes it's so bad it's good. This one isn't. Anyway, so for Kinga, I drew upon a lot of, she's kind of a Karen, you know? She's like the ultimate Karen, but she's super insecure underneath, which I totally associate with. So that's kind of how I channeled her. I've done some sketch characters where I was like super in charge, but not very good at what I did. There's nothing worse than somebody who acts like they know what they're doing and then is absolutely, you know, we all know those people, usually our bosses. So they act like they know what they're doing, but they don't know what they're doing. And so that's kind of how I infused her into that. And also, I was obsessed with Mystery Science Theater as a kid. My brother and I, that's one of the things we watched when we were in high school. So basically, my love of the Mads was more than any for the boss. And I just loved the Mads so much. So I think I just had it in my blood to be a Forester. And when Joel emailed me to be a Forester, I started crying. Because I was like, what? It's literally a dream come true. Every day on that set is a dream come true. I'm so excited to get that coat back on and torture people.
Steven Universe number 2.
Alrighty. So, Felicia, you might not remember me, but I actually met you a couple years ago
At the book study?
during your Ohio tour of Oakley, Ohio, Barnes & Noble. I had a supernatural shirt. Well, Scooby Natural shirt.
Okay.
I remember you made a joke about like, oh, I wish I was part of that.
Oh, I did. I'm resentful that I wasn't in
Yeah,
that.
I know you did.
Yeah.
Probably 2 years ago, I wasn't expecting to remember it, but yeah, it was just a fun little tidbit. But
Nice.
yeah, it's interesting. Actually, I want to do a question related to the magicians.
Ooh.
So, yeah,
I love how everybody, usually, sometimes it's only supernatural questions. I love it. We're going around the world. I love it.
I know everyone wants to do like supernatural and everything like that, but I'm like, you know what? Let's change it a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it.
So, how did you get involved with magicians and like what made you get that role? And let's go with that.
Well, there's some good stories here. So Lev Grossman, the person who wrote the original books, was a fan of mine a long time ago, and he interviewed me. He interviewed me for Newsweek for an article at Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con. And I remembered him because he was like, oh, I'm going to give you a copy of my first book. And the book was named Codex, which is the name of my character from the game.
Yes, it is.
So I always followed his work, and The Magicians was a series I loved, and when they were going to turn it into a TV show, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And so the reason I got on the show, I was always wanting to be on the show, but the reason I got on the show was because Sarah Gamble was the showrunner of Supernatural the year that I was Charlie, and she's the reason I got on the show at all, on Supernatural. So she is like amazing and has got me 2 amazing roles in my career. She's the one who, Robbie Thompson, the writer and the creator of Charlie, was like, Felicia didn't type, and she was like, let's try to get her. And he was like, really? So thank goodness they asked me. So then Sarah is the showrunner and creator of The Magicians, one of them, and she asked me to come in and was like, hey, we have this character named Poppy, would you want to play her? I was like, yes. So that's how it happened. I had like a deal with Sci-Fi to do a role on something, and that it just happened in a perfect way. And I can't tell you, y'all have, mostly I play really nice characters who are very killable.
Yeah.
Poppy is like the least, she's like the least killable because she's pretty nasty. She's like a chaotic neutral kind of character who's really only out for herself. And so I just love playing her, and I really wish that I could have played more of her. And in the books, she ends up being the Queen of Fillory.
Yeah, yes, she does.
Yeah, but in the TV series, they don't have anything to do with the books.
Different adaptation.
Yeah, very different. So, yeah, sad I didn't go back to the last season, but it's all good.
I just want to say one last thing. Thank you for being absolutely amazing. I still have your autographed book. It was absolutely amazing.
Thank you. Well, thanks for reading it. I really appreciate that.
That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you. You're so cute. Thank you. You're my favorite Steven. Sorry, other Steven. No, I love all Stevens. I love all Stevens. No, I'm sorry.
All right, I think we have time for probably 2 more questions.
Sorry, you guys, we're not going to get through everybody. I think we've started really late.
Right, yeah.
I'll be downstairs after this. Okay.
So with everything that you've done in your career, your writer, director, producer, actress, everything that you've done up to this point, what advice would you give to the young people, the younger generations who are coming up, beginning to fill those younger roles? What advice would you give them into how to come up and fill the new role?
As far as acting or creating or what? Okay, this is great. Yeah, I mean, every creative field is different. If you want to make a profession out of it, it's very hard. So I would really urge people to separate your creativity with the career business part of your creativity, because they're 2 different worlds, and they're really hard to emotionally keep separate, because if you get rejected business-wise, it's really hard not to have that impact your ability to create. So as a creator, protect your creator side like it's a little tiny cute little baby who gets bruised really easily, or like a fennec fox. That's your inner creator, and just make sure to treat it really, really gently and say really nice things to it when you get rejected on the business side. And so that's my one piece of advice. My second piece of advice is to make sure that if you're doing a creative work, make sure you're doing it for the work and not the result of the work, because that will allow you to really choose a career path and spend your time in a way that you love. A lot of us want to be an actor, or they want to be a writer, but you kind of just don't want to do the work of what that is. You want to have written a book, but like the work of writing the book is not fun for you. Unless you can find a way to make the work the fulfilling part, don't think you'll ever be happy. Because even if you became a hugely successful author, you still hated the work of writing, you wouldn't be happy. And I know this from myself, but also from other creators that I know. You really have to really want to wake up every day and do that job, whether you're being paid for it or not, and get better at it, whether you're being paid for it or not. And then I think the last thing is, just if you are a creator, your job is to make things, you know? And everything you make is a stepping stone to something else you'll make. And so, again, it's important to create. I think all of us have a creator inside, and it's really important for us to get our voice out while we have the time on this planet to show the world only what we can show them through what we do. So whether it's woodworking, or vlogging, or knitting, or acting, whether you're professional or not, like that is an important part of your life. And so always have it in your life, whether it's your job or not, because it truly will make you a happier and more fulfilled person. So that's my cheesy, here's my nacho cheese ending, and thank you very much.
One more?
Yeah, absolutely.
One more. All right, last question.
Hi, I'm Kaz. I wanted to say thank you so much for all your work in the nerd community.
Track it down downstairs.
Critical Role have had such a big impact on my life, and it would have existed.
Oh, thank you.
So that's just really important. So my question was, you co-founded Featured Century, and I was just sort of wondering what your perspective was as one, a woman navigating that industry, and also as a woman in leadership navigating that industry.
A woman in what? What did you say?
Like leadership.
Oh, leadership.
Yeah, as a co-founder.
You know, it was really, I went from the guild to making a video in my house to running a company that was like million, you know, like a lot of money that I had to spend on content. We didn't make a lot of money, but we spent it all on my content. And I guess I didn't know anything about business, and so I was really at a disadvantage because I didn't approach business from the business side. I approached it like, yay, I have all this money to make things, which is great, but that wasn't how business people approach things. And it would have been really nice to know anything about business before I started a business. Because, you know, there are things about, and I think the disadvantage I had as a woman coming into especially business is that I think people who were experts in business didn't see the opportunity that I had to be as attractive to help me with the business side of things. Do you know what I'm saying? I felt like we were always, because I think in business, people like to work with their friends, and I think especially when I think about my baby, you know, when you start from a young age dividing girls and boys into groups, you're literally creating the fabric that our world turns into, right? And so guys, when they go out to drinks after work, generally want to hang out with guys, and girls want to, you know, we have this weird division of sex that I think, you know, unconsciously separates us when we get business opportunities, right? And so I think from what I've seen women creators, it's harder to get men on board helping who have experience in business to help onboard women in opportunities. And that's why mentorship with anybody you see potential in, regardless of their gender or race or background, is really, really important, because that experience goes a long way in helping people not make mistakes. So, you know, it was also, you know, me entering a world that was different and kind of after just doing everything trial by fire, it would have been really nice to have people in the business world help calibrate that. And I think the opportunities were fewer than the guys that I saw who started businesses at the same time, because guy entrepreneurs and guy investors tended to gravitate toward more male-driven businesses. So I guess that hampered me, but at the same time, we were able to have an amazing, diverse company that really represented a lot of voices that weren't being represented there. And, you know, doing tabletop games and Magic the Gathering and cosplay right before it was cool, right? Critical Role. And so, you know, you got to follow your gut, and every mistake that you make is a way for you to get better and stronger and be more sure of who you are. And so I look back on those rough years of figuring out how a business worked, and then being bought and figuring out how being bought worked and all these things. It was really painful, but at the end of the day, I'm much more savvy and I know what I'm good at and I know what I'm weak at better, and that's really the key to being a boss and leadership, knowing what you're weak at and filling those weaknesses with people who are really good and trusting them, and also being willing to let somebody go if they are not fitting the role, because if, you know, just letting people go was so hard for me, but when they weren't working, it was harming everybody, which then led to other people being unhappy. It was like, boy, I just like being in my house streaming video games now. I'll let you know that. But I think the more people can step up and be experts in those fields and pursue them, even though it's going to be harder because you don't have the mentorship, you can be the mentor for somebody in 10 years, and that is like the most invaluable thing you can do. So, thank you for that question.
They think order and chaos are somehow opposites and try to control what won't be.
I used to fuck guys like you.